I am Ann-Peggy Divine. Welcome to the Divine Design, the podcast where we unfold heaven on earth and reframe spirituality and theology for a new cosmic era. Your journey on human evolution and integration of your divine design starts here. As a quiet extension of what I'm sharing here, you may have heard me speak about the architecture series. These books are now available for those who feel ready to go deeper. The architecture of light, the architecture of future medicine, the architecture of the living ethos, the architecture of peace, the architecture of karma, the architecture of sisterhood. Alongside these, 2 trilogy volumes brings the series together. The Architecture of Life, Trilogy 1, and the Architecture of Humanity, Trilogy 2. Each book explores a different aspect of how life organizes itself when survival patterns are no longer in control, and a new architecture begins to emerge. If you feel resonance, you can find them on Lulu and on my websites, divinedesign.it and anpeggydivine.com. Welcome, Erik Lier, to this Divine Design podcast.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being invited and a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, we just met in another setting and you spoke about Martinus Cosmology, and that is a paradigm and a perspective that I don't know and so much about it. So I'm fascinated at all these new things that's coming up, and you spoke a little bit about it and I resonate with most of the things you said. So maybe you could start to say something about yourself and why you have gone into this Martinus Cosmology.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have started out as most people who are seekers with a lot of pain, a lot of feeling outside, feeling different, feeling not fitting in, feeling not accepted. And also adapting these beliefs and believing that is the truth, that I am wrong, I should not have existed, and the world would be a much better place without me. So it's been a very heavy burden, and incarnating into a country which is one of the scarcest populated countries in the world. Growing up on a farm at the end of a dirt road on a county border. So it's not very central, and there's a lot of space for having lonely time and feeling outside and all of these things. So there's been a lot of me entering my inner world to survive, and a lot of suffering that has led me to it's a non-negotiable to find some sort of way for personal development. And luckily, I have been guided to stumble across some pieces on that road,
Yeah.
and being able to survive, basically. And then it has been many, many years of struggle, many, many years of not wanting to live, and then feeling super privileged because I've been led to find some really amazing diamonds that has changed my life radically.
Yeah.
To not being recognizable from who I was before to the one I am today. And Martinus Cosmology is one of those pieces because I've been into personal development spirituality for more than 30 years, and always been very open
Yeah.
to not just following one direction. So, and then there's so many bits and pieces filling my world picture. And a lot of them like fairly nebulous still. And by nebulous, I mean it's still a bit gray area. It's not so crystallized and not super clear. It's not translatable into a spiritual science. So it's more spirituality and modalities within personal development. And so for me, it's been one of the top two grandest findings on my path to find the spiritual science, the cosmology, Martinus Cosmology, because all of a sudden it became science. So everything went from being nebulous to being crystallized. And everything makes sense on the whole scale. And as far as I know, it's the only material that has no logic breaches in it. And it's the biggest world picture ever given to man. And I've visited, for example, another spiritual science, which I think is it 430 books or something left after Rudolf Steiner. So he has been a huge impulse, but
Yeah.
he's been focusing on a smaller area and much more directly on humans and our evolution more locally than the big world picture, the eternal world picture of Martinus cosmology. And I've been visiting the people who made the master's study on Emerson College within Rudolf Steiner, and they have a summer house in Denmark. So I visited them while I was studying cosmology in Denmark, and they said that, well, even Steiner is colliding with himself. So Steiner has three major models that are amazing, but if you try to put all those three models together, they actually collide. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's an amazing material and it's giving people so much. So even if things are still on a more nebulous phase, it's still very rewarding and giving people what they need when they discover it. So for me, it was such a relief to find the spiritual science, the Martinus cosmology, because everything was logical and everything made sense. So it's more a spiritual science than spiritual, which is so amazing to be able to finally find the key to unlock the doors into the DOS or the operating system of the computer of existence, so to speak, and finally be able to understand the coding language and the building blocks of existence, of suffering, of how we operate, what leads us forward, and all of these kind of things. And it makes so much sense. And one fundamental thing that we need to know when we enter Martinus cosmology is that this is the biggest world picture that has ever been given to man. And as far as I know, the only one that is 100% logic and without logical breaches. So this means if we are thinking, oh, it needs to be the same as my world picture because I want it to be the same as my world picture, then it's like, okay, we just have to surrender and realize this is so much bigger than what I have been able to piece together through my journey. And what Martinus is introducing with is saying that do not believe one single word that I am saying. Take in only what resonates with you and leave the rest.
Mm.
Because the resonance is our guide, that this is fitting with me now. What is fitting me for me in a different now, it's a different story and it's a different resonance. If the resonance is not present today, leave it or leave that part.
Yeah.
So take only what resonates and go out into your life and be your own researcher and see if this is true to you.
And actually, what you said it when we met first time. And that was what resonated with me, because that is what I tell people. Just take what resonates. You don't need to believe my words, because as you tell it, it feels like it is some intellectual, but at the same time, you say that it is not intellectual, because what resonates. Because I think that, and probably Martinus Cosmology is that you have all the answer inside. I will think that this is everything comes from within. Or does he say, or does this cosmology say anything about it? Because I have written several books about this, so it's kind of, but I hadn't heard about this, but I resonate with a lot of it.
Yeah. Yeah, so the point is to just be open
Yeah.
and not start to think that it has to be the same as my own world picture. Because I've never found anything adding as many pixels to my own world picture as this. So it's like a major growth entering this. And we should not just go into blind faith and believe, because this is made for the next stage in evolution. And the next stage in evolution is not belief based.
Thank you. I so
It
agree.
is, yes. So the belief talent in evolution is degrading rapidly. So we are losing the ability to believe. Belief is carried by one of the six um, fundamental energies that are the building blocks of existence.
Hmm.
And belief is carried by the instinct energy. And the instinct energy is very much needed when we are incarnating into the plant kingdom, because we have no brain there. So instinct has to be the way that we are seeking humidity with our roots. We are seeking sun with our leaves. And we are able to create the most amazing plants and the most amazing flowers. This could not be done with a plant brain, because a plant does not have a brain. So, and we need it through the animal kingdom, which we are currently living in. We are not living in the human kingdom yet. Um, but the thing is that we are slowly evolving away from being an animal into being a human. So right now we are a crossbreed. So we are half asleep animal, and we are starting to slowly be a little bit of a awake human. So going from instinct driven to awaken consciousness, logic, and then further on, intuition driven beings. And now the thing is that we are all on different development levels, playing this game together on this planet at the time being as eternal beings, living primarily outside of the physical realm. But the cycle brings us back down into having a physical experience to charge the batteries to be able to receive the light. So we sort of go down into the physical to charge our darkness batteries. So we are able to actually have distinction ability in the light to experience receiving the light. Because if we are only experiencing light and say, hey, I found a delete button, let's remove darkness, let's remove suffering. Well, it would be as going to the artist monk museum in Oslo, and all of a sudden all the paintings are painted with white color on a white canvas. Or it will be the same as if I love my working on my phone and still working on my phone when the battery is dead. all of a sudden what is happening is that there is no longer any contrast. And without contrast, we have cosmic death. So there is nothing to experience. So this is the meaning of darkness and suffering, is that we have gone so far up that we have fallen asleep, and then all of a sudden we're just instinct driven, and then we need to wake up again and build a new awake consciousness, and it has to be done by being woken up by suffering. And coming back to being on different development levels, it means that some people are entering the human kingdom before others, and some are in the large group, and some are coming after. So this means when Martinus is saying that the real human kingdom is not starting until 3,000 years from now, about 2,000 to 3,000 years from now, that is the factor of the tipping point of more than 50% of the population entering the human kingdom. So evolution is individual. Apparently, it is collective, but Martinus Cosmology is telling us that it is individual. But we are having collective influences that are unlocking different doors within us, but only when we are ready. Because evolution is building stone on stone.
Yeah, I just want to add something because I have done a lot of podcasts and a lot of speaking, and I speak a lot about Homo Luminous. And I just want to put Homo Luminous into the frame you are saying, because you say that we are kind of animals. I call Homo sapiens animals. So when I say we are evolving from Homo sapiens to Homo Luminous, this is the term you use at we are animals becoming Homo sapiens, but I use it that we are Homo sapiens is kind of animal, the animal kingdom, and evolving from Homo sapiens to Homo Luminous. That's the term I use, so it is the same. So I just want to put it that I agree, but I see that we use different terms of the same evolution kind of. But it is the awakening process, or kind of living as the instinct and waking up that we are more light than we are anything else. That's why the term Homo Luminous, because as you said, the circle becoming more light, more understanding that we are more than the physical. I use also to describe this as an avatar. We have an avatar on Mother Earth, and we decide how to use this avatar, and it is an evolution.
Yes, yes. Absolutely, and it's very cool that you have this terminology that is congruent with the Martinus cosmology. So I add another distinction there, and I'm sure you do too, but I can mention it now. And there's a difference between awakening and enlightenment. And there's a lot of confusion around the word awakening, because some people are using the word awakening for when people go from the horizontal plane, where we are only sort of believing in the physical, and we even tend to believe in physical, or the death of the non-physical together with the physical. So, and then people all of a sudden are starting to grow the vertical axis, and then people call that awakening. So awakening to understanding that there's something more, there's something deeper, and we become some sort of a seeker or a thinker. And you can say that it is a type of awakening, but it's not the awakening I'm talking about. And then we have on the top of the vertical axis, we have enlightenment. And this has been the goal for all mystics and all traditions for thousands of years, through the Vedic scriptures and other sources, showing that there has been people being in connection with realizing that we have a higher potential, and the ultimate highest potential is illumination or enlightenment or transpersonality from psychology, or Christ consciousness, some traditions call it, Kundalini rising on a permanent basis is another tradition calling it. So there has been people put there to point a direction through what Martinus is calling the parental principle. So we are parents on so many levels, not only to our kids, and also the world redemption principle. So there are world redeemers incarnating in who has a radically advanced development stage to point the direction, to help us see a light in the darkness. And that is happening on so many levels. So some are world redeemers, like Buddha, Christ, and Muhammad, and yeah. But then we have this parental principle happening on all levels. And then our job, for example, you and me, is to point the direction, to be supporting and be a caring parent for people who have the hunger for exactly what gives them resonance. So therefore, nothing is wrong. Everything is exactly as it's supposed to be, and everybody are needed, and all facets are needed, even the dark facets. And it's very easy to point at them and say that, oh, you're doing wrong. But what we're then basically doing is that we are actually pointing at ourselves at a previous or future stage in evolution. We are only seeing a snapshot at all the time because we do not have a memory faculty to remember an internal existence. I
Yeah,
mean,
when you're
yeah.
when you're into that, I'm a regression therapist, so I lead people into past life, future life, and I have been in several of my past life, or everything happened in the here and now, but we need words to describe it. So I know what I have done in some of the past life, and I'm doing the same in this life. This life is very connected to my life in the beginning of 1600 in Guatemala. So I was a man then, and I'm now a woman, so I do it in a feminine way. And I wonder, Martinus Cosmology, what does this say about past life, future life, and kind of, because the soul has infinite wisdom, kind of. So when we are aligned, kind of, when we are in coherence, I speak a lot about coherence because then we find it all. So what is Martinus Cosmology is saying about past life, future life, and yeah, can you say something about that?
Yes, because then we're touching upon the two different realms. So we have above and beyond and permeating everything, we have the eternal realm.
Mm.
And then within the eternal realm, we have creation happening. So that's the timely created realm. And the consequence of something being created is that it has a starting point and it has an ending point. So there is a sequence of life happening, and then there's a sequence of dying and then death happening to everything created,
Yep.
including every thought,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
every belief system, every world picture. We are expanding our world picture every day.
Yep.
So this means we have what's called entropy, that something goes from order into chaos and then dying.
Yeah.
We can also call it the life of death and dying,
Yep.
or the law of death and dying. Um, so this means for us to be able to go from being asleep spiritual beings into reawakening, re-waking up, we need to go through a process that is shaking us awake.
Yep.
Because it's life substance number one is not allowing eternal cosmic death. So it is giving us always the spark of life, reigniting us when we feel dead. So stagnation is only temporary. It has a starting point and an ending point also. We're always given
Yep.
the spark of life continuation. So we need to be shook awake. And to be able to do that, we have to go into the physical realm because that's where resistance is, and that's the only place suffering can be.
Yep.
It cannot be in the spiritual realm, except for some small exceptions. But this is such a large material that I have to condense. So this means we need vehicles for that journey. Just like there's a reason why you are not still driving the first car you owned. Why? Because it falls apart, it degrades. It's under the law of death and dying, or entropy, that makes it go into chaos, and then it's destroyed, gradually deteriorating. Things are worn out. And that goes for our physical vehicles, which is currently what we call a human body, or an animal human body, or terrestrial human body. But this is also dying, and we cannot do millions of years of evolution in the same body. It would be an impossibility. So we do the same thing we do with all other vehicles. We change vehicles, we upgrade them to something more functional. Just like the TV. You're not watching the same TV today as the one you grew up with. You know, it's not the same TV. That doesn't mean that when the TV is dying, that the broadcasts stop happening. The broadcast is still sent. We just need a new vehicle to get the same broadcast. So this means it's unavoidable for evolution to be able to take place that we have to change vehicles every now and then. So first we do that through the mineral kingdom, and then the plant kingdom, then the animal kingdom, and then the human kingdom. And the primary part of the human kingdom is without body. So it's a transitional phase in the start of the human kingdom that we have physical bodies. Then the need for having this vehicle giving us this resistance will cease to be there anymore, and we have filled our suffering batteries enough. We have been enlightened long enough to be living out the parental principle to help humanity, and then we can move on.
Yeah, but you're talking about, because it's very easy for us as human, to think in linear, kind of, when we change vehicle, as you say. I call this the avatar, but if we see, as you see, the mineral kingdom or the animal kingdom, all the kingdom we are a part of, it is not that one is better, but as Homo Luminous, we have the divinity to kind of, if we go deep, we know who we are. We are God's source creation. I see us because it's like divine design is God within. So we are above the kingdom of animals and the other, but even though we are kind of above it, we are not better, because we have to co-create, because that's our fundamental. It's a part of us. If we, as we have done for so many years, if we take advantage of Mother Earth and mineral and the animal kingdom and Mother Earth, kind of, then we are destroying our own foundation, because we are a part of it.
Exactly.
So I just want to mention, because it's so easy to think linear. It's like, yeah, we are above. Yes, we are above, but we really depend, because we destroy ourselves if we just take advantage of all the other kingdoms that we kind of, because we have the divine. Everything is divine. I see everything that's divine, but we have something. We have spoken about God in a way that it is outside of us, but all is divinity kind of. So we have, it is not that we are better, but we have a consciousness that is more evolved, if we can put it like that. It's hard to find the right words to describe this.
We are actually the worst.
We can be the worst, but we can also be the best. I just have to say, we can be the worst, but we can be the best.
The thing is that everyone has to go through everything in evolution.
Yep.
So there's nothing being better, there's nothing being worse. Everything is necessary.
Yep.
And there's no one being lower or no one being higher. We are all completely equal.
We have to use this terminology just to describe it. So that's the difficulty of this. Yes, I agree.
And in the grand spiral cycle, with all the 6 kingdoms, we are going from the culmination or the peak point of unity at the top. And then through the contrast principle, we have to go to the different culmination, and that's the culmination of separation.
Yep.
And therefore, we as beings are given the opportunity of having a physical being that we take care of, as you call it, the avatar.
Yep.
So our actual being is much bigger than we have imagination to comprehend.
Yep.
And then we're giving the opportunity to be the caretaker of this physical being. But since we are in the culmination of separation, that means this physical being is having a separated consciousness.
Yep.
So we are separated from ourselves. And through that, we experience suffering dynamics, which is one of my favorite research topics, to see what are the building blocks of suffering. Because when we have clarity, we have power.
Yeah.
When we understand the building blocks of existence and the building blocks of suffering, then we are empowered to understand how we can go out of the cycle of suffering when we are ready for doing that. So this means we are in separation. We go from unity to separation, therefore even believing in death. These kind of things, and having all kinds of ideas and understandings that are out of alignment. So this is what we call local logic and not universal logic. So we are separated from the universal logic, but we are prone to all the time create our own world picture. And at any stage in evolution, we are convinced of our own conviction. So whatever we believe to be true, we believe that to be true. And through that deep-seated arrogance and hubris, which is a suffering dynamic, we put ourselves above creation, above God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it. We put ourselves above that and say that I know better than God or the universe. And therefore, I'm obviously out of alignment and I get the gift of suffering. Because this belief system is not in alignment and therefore bringing suffering.
Yeah, and you pointed a very important topic, because believing, it is our beliefs. Because I speak a lot about, you have to come into direct knowledge. You just know. It's like the last couple of days, the words have come to me. It's satya. It is Buddhism and Hinduism. They use the word satya, and it is truth, essence. So when we are truth and essence, we don't come from belief. We just go with the flow. That's what also I call it divine design. It's like you are open and you know that you use this avatar for whatever comes your way, and you don't stop it, kind of, because it is our, as you say, our belief, and it has to be one way. That's the one that stops the energy. Because if we go to the other kingdoms, we see that energy flows. It flows in a divine rhythm, And if we allow this avatar to flow in the same rhythm, then we don't have any suffering.
Exactly. And this is an evolutionary stage you're talking about. And these are the the doors we are pointing towards for other people to see those doors and enter those doors. And that's through the parental principle.
Yeah, but I have to ask you because you have read a lot about the Martinus Cosmology. Have you experienced regression and being in past life?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the people that come to me and have regression, they change one session, change their way of being, because then you experience it. It's not only intellectual, because you go, wow, you feel other parts of you, kind of other aspect of you, and then it's like, okay, this is so much bigger than only me here in this time and space.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So Martinus Cosmology, they also, do they encourage people to travel beyond time and space, or?
Um, the cosmology is saying yes to everything.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
There is nothing that is wrong. There is nothing that is right. Everything is experiences giving us contrasts to move in a different way.
Yeah.
So you could say that everything starts with darkness. So the dark contrast.
Mm,
So the nebulous, we have no clarity.
mm.
We enter that, and therefore it creates insecurity in us to do something that is outside our comfort zone because we don't know this terrain. We don't have a map for the terrain, and we have to step into it 1 foot at a time in darkness. What happens then is that we start to get a direct experience and therefore adding pixels
Yeah,
to our
yeah,
world picture within this field.
yeah.
So this means failing is a prerequisite for success.
Mm.
Now, there are also this phenomenon called derailment. So, like a train derailing and going off track, and it's life becomes very hard when we are derailed.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, it destroys the train and it kills people, right? So, derailments are something that we can avoid because it's not a path we have to go down. There's nothing wrong with going down that path because it gives an accelerated growth and accelerated suffering. So we charge our suffering batteries faster. But it's good to not go down those roads because those roads are ruining so many talents that we have built stone on stone through thousands and millions of incarnations. So it is crippling us when we do these things for many incarnations after we have derailed to get back on track. So there are things that we can avoid and that the cosmology is supporting people to raise the mirror and realize, oh my God, I am doing this, and maybe I should try to walk a different path. So one thing he's talking about when it comes to spirituality is that if you are super obsessed with becoming enlightened or gaining cosmic consciousness, as he
Yeah.
is calling it, and you are extremely dedicated to practicing practices leading you to experience enlightenment,
Mm.
you will reach enlightenment. You will just reach it after everyone else.
Yeah.
So there are examples, like for example, there's this doctor in Bodø, north in Norway, was further south than you, I think. And he was on this path. He was super dedicated. This is many years back, I think maybe in the 70s. And he was practicing what's this meditation called? Transcendental meditation, very strictly, and had this very firm goal. and he was quite intellectual, so he was driven by his intellect to have, you know, this um, being very dedicated and diligent in doing it, even if he didn't feel like it. So what happened was that he did break through and get what we call a cosmic glimpse, which is a temporary state of um, illumination or yeah, enlightenment. And he said that when he came back to himself afterwards, he could smell the smell of burnt in the room. So what happens is that if you are putting cosmic consciousness, which is a electric current that is so much stronger than the consciousness we're having now, if you're adding that to a nervous system that is not upgraded yet, it will burn your nervous system. So what happened to him that he has not been able to practice as a doctor since that. And this is quite a lot of years ago.
I haven't heard about him, so I'm kind of, what's his name?
Well, let's not go into that now.
Okay.
But you can talk to the Martinus Cosmology guys in Bodø. It's a very alive environment up there. So
Okay.
just Google them and you can connect with them if you want to know this more intimately. And the
Okay.
same thing with a friend of my best friend in Oslo. He experienced the same thing and has been, you know, institutionalized a large part of his life since this. And this is also very many years ago. But then if you're lucky, you can have a lighter burn and it will damage you for a while, but not so long. And if you're lucky, you may not burn whatsoever because your nervous system is upgraded already. But this is a bit of a gamble and it's a bit of spiritual arrogance. So it's spiritual crime in some way because it's like, oh yeah, I want that.
So much.
I don't want to do the work. And what happens if
The
you're
bypass.
in a workplace and you want the month's salary, but you're not putting in the workload of the month, then you're called a criminal because you're actually going in and stealing the salary, but you haven't delivered the work. So, but there's nothing wrong with this either. It just
No.
takes
Yeah.
quite a lot of incarnations to recreate the nervous systems and the talents that have been damaged during these kind of experiences.
Hmm.
And let me go back to, since I started with saying we are the worst a while ago, when we talked about the concept of potential inequality. We are all equal. And the reason why you and I are sitting here doing what we are doing is that we are so much worse and have been so much worse than everyone else. You and I, we have killed so much more people than the people who have not come to the place we have. So we are, per definition, in this spiral cycle, we are the worst.
You do, can you, yeah, you mean it because we mean that our beliefs are correct, or can you, what do you mean by that?
Evolution cannot do anything else than build stone on stone.
Yeah.
And this means that we have been the worst people. We've been the biggest killers, the biggest rapers, the biggest violators.
Yep.
So we have gotten so much dark experience to then initiate the hunger of the light contrast. We
Yep.
want the opposite of it because we've realized violence and perpetration is not the way.
Yep.
And this is war hunger. This is the animal killing principle.
Yep.
Because in the animal kingdom, it's a virtue to kill. It's one of the highest things you can do as an animal, because if you don't do that, you stop evolution. You're taking away the possibility to have vehicles to incarnate in. So it's a virtue, it's something you have to do, and something that is noble in the animal kingdom. And we don't have an individualistic consciousness as animals. So death doesn't really bother us. Yes, it's painful when it's happening, but death, we don't experience death as a separation the same way we do, because we are at the culmination of separation, which means we are now building a individualistic consciousness. And you don't have to travel longer than around this planet to find people who are living in a more collective consciousness where the family and the church and the workplace are the most important things. What are you talking about? My individual needs. I don't have individual needs. I've experienced that in my travels, and it's quite fascinating. Um, so for animals, this killing is not a problem. But in the human kingdom is the very opposite of a virtue to kill.
Yeah,
Because in the human kingdom, it's the neighborly love, loving everybody and loving everything. So this is colliding. So this means that now when we are these transitional beings, half animal and half human, we are colliding with this killing principle because we still have a lot of war hunger in us. And whenever we are triggered and believe that I have the right to be aggressive towards you at some sort of volume, no matter what, it's again my entitlement because I have to have an outlet for my war hunger. So I can be a very gentle, noble, caring person until this is ignited in me, and all of a sudden I'm the devil. So, but then the degree of this is going down as incarnations progress, but we cannot bypass our war hunger. And we've seen plenty of examples of that. Gurus that are, trying to suppress the war hunger, and what it ends up with is that it becomes perverted, and because it's held back and it's not naturally flowing, then all of a sudden it comes out as different types of violations and sexual violations and all kinds of things. This is the nature of the transitional phase we are in. So in a way you could say there's nothing wrong with that either, but it's the animal shadow that we're still carrying, and war hunger has to be lived out. But the more pixels we are adding to our world picture, being mirrors to our animal nature, makes us wake up to understanding that I want to long for the opposite contrast. I don't want to solve conflict with being harsh anymore. I want to do it gently. I want to be on the same team, so in unity, instead of being in opposite teams, being in separation. And this is a major thing that I bring with me in my life, is that what's happening now? Did that person just push me onto the opposite team? That's a diluted war. So in evolution, we are exposed to diluted and lower volume versions of things. So back in the days, we were at war all the time, and we loved it because we were more animal, and our sensory system was so animal at that time, and that had not built stone on stone yet. So we loved pain also. This was an extremely nice stimuli. But then we're gradually meeting something that is not killing anymore. So back in the day, if you and I disagreed, I would just kill you and then the problem would be solved, right? At that time, we didn't understand that this had implications that would come back to me karmically to show me the mirror of what I just did. We had no understanding of that. We loved killing.
Mm.
And then we understood, oh my God, yeah, well, that actually led to the wife and the kids not being supported. This was not so good. And then we finally, after a while, we stopped doing murders, and then we do diluted killing, so watered out killing. And that is killing without killing the organism. But we are still killing through using aggression in any form or shape where we are entitling ourselves, putting ourselves above God and saying, I have the right to utilize aggression or war hunger towards you now, then I am killing. but it's on a diluted level. It's a new level of challenge because it's nebulous.
Mm.
And it's nebulous until we have enough experiences of it for this to slowly be crystallized and we realize, oh my God, I am a perpetrator. That's part of what I do.
Yeah, when I listen to you, I used to call this the dark age, where we are coming from, and we have been so much in our head and trying to, and we only see with our perspective, our programming, because when I work as a therapist, when I get a client in, I feel the field, and just by holding the field, I know where the client comes from because I feel on myself what's happening. And listening to you, it feels like what you're talking about, and also Martinus Cosmology, it feels like very intellectual. It's like, it is, even though it says, don't believe anything I say, because I agree so much. That's kind of, but at the same time, it is kind of, it is a part for me that feels like it is a protection there. I don't know why, but this is what I know. No, I just say what I sense from it. So it is, yeah, I agree. I agree what you say, but at the same time, it's something not resonating in me because we talk about. So it is one intellectual part that I'm not resonating with. I'm not cannot say point finger at it, but it is two, because life is simple. It is just being. And if we listen to our emotion, we know, because the intuition is there. If we are living coherence, it's kind of, then we know. And even though I myself is intellectual, I love this thing, but at the same time, I have started question my own intellectual, because I can go very deep intellectual, and I work with people that have mental issue and are retarded also, and I see that a lot of them have an amazing life, even though they are not so intellectual. And also we can see the grass, we can see the tree, and where is the intellect in that? So I'm just, yeah, we because we have spoken so much, and it's kind of the logos, the word. We talk so much, but we don't listen. So yeah, that was kind of, do we listen? It's almost too much words. It's too much understanding. It is just surrendering, being. I don't know, but that's what I was talking. Okay, we have so much word. What are we trying to? What are we trying to defend? What does Martinus Cosmology say about defending?
Well, if we go back to the initial question,
Yeah.
um, so the thing is that we always go from one contrast to the other.
Yeah.
So it's the pendulum.
Yeah.
And oh my God, did I have a hard time entering the mentality of the cosmology. I had so much resistance. So I felt so much the same thing as you are mentioning, because I come from the personal development and spiritual world. I love being at Ängsbacka in Sweden and, being sort of the bohemian and being a hippie. So I just been hippie so for so many years that I don't care to look like a hippie anymore. Uh, I had so much resistance going from this feeling based experience of my journey, which is more spiritual and flow and sensitivity and sharing and, and yeah, all of these yummy things. I had so much resistance towards going to the opposite contrast, which is the intellectual. So this is not about leaving the feeling based journey, it's about creating balance.
Yeah, coherence.
Yeah. So, and all traditions are talking about this. In Buddhism, it says that if you don't have balance between intellect and feeling,
Yep, yep, yep,
You are not in place yet.
yep.
And Osho was saying this, that, well, if you have one long emotional wing and you have a super short intellectual one, how well will you fly?
Yeah.
You will not be able to fly unless you build both wings proportionally. That's the only way you can actually take off.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was what I was sensing. It's kind of because everything comes back to balance, as you say, because that's what you mentioned now. It's like everything is balanced because it's so we can talk about it intellectual, we can talk about it intuition, feeling, and all this, but everything comes kind of okay. It is balance between it all because we see now in the world we see so much extremes. So as you say, it is kind of the contrast. You go from one pole to another pole, so it's very extreme what we see. And I wanted to ask you one question. This cosmology, if you see Putin, for example, or Trump, where would you put them into this cosmology? Because they are kind of people that have a big ego, and we hear a lot about them. And because you talk about suffering, and we have leaders depending where we live. So Russia, we know that there are lots of propaganda, and Trump, yeah, he has also, but now he has really fallen. We have seen the big ego he has, so people are waking up with him also. But I don't know if so many people are waking up with Putin because everything is kind of hidden. But the Martinus cosmology, do they have any understanding about this?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And it's quite vital to understand these things. Um, so these guys are very necessary in the evolutionary stage we are now. So it's if we go to different scriptures, they're talking about the ending times
Yep.
and the doomsday.
Yep.
And the thing is that those systems were delivered at an earlier stage of evolution. So they were not able to reveal everything to the fullest because we were still based on the belief talent and receiving it as belief. So we were blind believers. What's happening when the talent of belief is going down and the talent of intellect is going up is that it starts to crack.
Yeah. Yeah.
It starts to crackleate and crumble, and we realize that there's no legal system on the planet in the most, you know, primitive civilizations. There's no legal system saying that it's okay that I do a crime and then I crucify somebody else for what I did, for example.
Yep.
And it starts to, does it make sense that Christ were crucified to take the punishment for my sins? Not necessarily. So these things start to fade and we start to question things. And so what the Martinus's cosmology is coming with is the crystallization and the next layer of the world redemption principle. So it's the next message given to man that is not made for the belief talent. It's made for the intellectual talent and the intuitive talent. But it starts with the intellectual talent. So therefore, it can feel very intellectual. But
Yeah.
the thing is, we need to be researchers and we need to embody this. But it takes, the cosmology is saying that it takes 3 to 4 incarnations of diving deep into Martinus cosmology for it to be absorbed and integrated.
Three, four incarnations.
Yes, yes, 3 to 4 incarnations. This is such a vast.
But the one who wrote it had he done it 3 past lives?
Thousands.
Okay.
So he's a visitor. He's not terrestrial per se. He's not incarnating in here at the level that you and I are incarnating in within the parental principle. because we cannot claim to be world redeemers, but we are supporting the parental principle. But he is a world redeemer being incarnated in, just like others have been incarnated in before him, like Christ and Buddha and these kind of characters.
And which country did he live in?
Denmark.
Denmark. Yeah, that was
Yeah, yeah. So Nostradamus has a passage that is most likely him. So so back to the doomsday, that it was not spelled out, because just like a teacher, you cannot teach the same message to a first grader as you can to a university student.
Yeah, that's true.
You are adapting the teaching, even if you're actually teaching the same thing.
Yep.
You have to adapt it to the audience. And that's what these messages have been. So therefore, this is the new message. And this new message is so new and revolutionary that it's supposed to be held back for a while before it becomes more mainstream. So and it's not promoted. So you don't hear about Martinus Cosmology. You have
No.
to stumble across it. So it's only by meeting someone that you get to know about the existence of it. And it may be an indication that you may be starting to be ready to take on the journey of researching this and adding this to your research and everything else you do. So the doomsday age is where we are living right now. And it has been speculated, does that mean the end of humanity, that humans are dying out? Does it mean the end of the planet? Does the planet die and therefore shake off humanity? What's going on? It's uncertain times. So what Martinus Cosmology is saying, that the doomsday age is not the death of humanity, is the death of a lot of humans, unfortunately, but it's not the death of humanity, and it's not the death of the planets. So since we are still living in the animal kingdom, what does an animal do when it realizes, oh my God, there's a threat, and it's actually a threat to my life? This animal is bigger than me. There's a huge likelihood it will kill me. What does the animal do?
Fight or flight.
It is fighting the death fight.
Yeah.
So it's fighting for its life. So even if it's maybe weak or damaged somehow, it still is mobilizing
Yeah.
whatever it is capable of mobilizing at that moment to do the best it can for fighting for its life before it's dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what is happening right now.
Yeah, I can agree about that.
The ending days is not the death of humanity, it's the death of the animal.
Yeah, as I call Homo sapiens. Yes.
Yes. And what Martinus said, and I mean, he was saying these things 100 years ago, and people who's been studying him for all their life, they're saying he must be wrong. You know, in the 70s and stuff, and they said, they must be wrong. Or he must be wrong, because this is not possible. We have evolved so far. We have so much more peace in the world, and everything is going in the right direction. And Martinez is saying that it's going to be a dark time, and the leaders are going to be more primitive. There's going to be an upheaval of degrading democracy, you know, more dictatorship. This cannot be.
Yeah.
And what are we recently experiencing?
Yep.
That he is completely right, and it feels even animated what is happening in the world leaders today.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump feels animated. How on the earth can this happen?
He's showing us the shadow of. He's showing us the animal in people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is actually supposed to happen, therefore it's happening.
Yeah.
So it's taken out of proportion. It's taken out of the stage in evolution we are in. I mean, remember Clinton, he abdicated because of having one sexual relation, a slight sexual relation. What has Trump? I mean, he has an abundance of all kinds of things that he has done wrong, and he's not taken away. So it becomes animated, it becomes unbelievable, at least for people in the more civilized part of the world. And it seems totally illogical that these things can actually take place, but they actually have to take place.
Yeah.
But another thing that Martinus is putting up the mirror for us is to realize that in the beginning there was the Word.
Yeah.
So nothing is manifested without being in thought form first.
Yep.
So what Putin and Netanyahu and Trump is mirroring to you and me and everyone on the planet is that as long as I'm having a dictator inside of me dictating the thoughts I'm thinking, so the dictator is in charge of my thinking instead of me being in charge of my thinking. How many can recognize that that is happening? How many can recognize that there are conflicting thoughts happening in here?
Yeah.
Self-inflicted suffering. We are looping the story of our traumas millions and millions of times. Here, the perpetration hasn't happened for so many years. We are the self-perpetrators. We are looping the trauma within ourselves. This is being a tyrant and a dictator and a inflicting torture. That's what we are doing. We are creating this all the time. So this means that the manifestation of Trump and Netanyahu and Putin and all other warlords is something we have created.
Yeah.
So we are co-creating this.
I agree.
So they are not there because of themselves, they are there because of us.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And this also means that when we are thinking, oh, it's maybe a selfish journey to do my inner work, to eradicate automated thinking and actually wake up to be awakened. Now we're coming back to the definition of being awakened.
Yeah.
Is that I am in power over my thoughts. No thoughts are passing through my mind without me watching it and saying, hey, you're not allowed to be here. I'll abort these kind of thoughts because they are not lifting me. And then I say, hey, these thoughts, they are cool. They are expansive. They are uplifting. I will receive you.
Yeah.
And get silence in our mind, because then we take away the monkey mind, so animal automated mind thinking 30 to 80,000 thoughts per day, according to science. This needs to be taken away because it's clogging the pipe. This is the culmination of separation. The clog in the pipe is me being separated from receiving myself. Like I said, this human experience is like the tip of a fingernail of myself. So this is the game I'm playing with the separated being, separated from myself. And as long as I contribute to putting logs on the fire of destruction in the world, well, destruction will happen.
Yeah.
As long as I am doing diluted murder and diluted war, it will be real war and real murder happening.
As it is just right now.
As it is right now. But again, this is the mobilization of the killing principle, the animal, that is giving the best it can because it's realizing it's about to die.
Yeah.
And it will die.
It will die. Yeah. Yeah. So we are in a death process right now, and we need this death process.
Yes, exactly.
For our next step evolution. And yeah, and I think this is a good place to kind of take it, end it, and we probably have to do more podcasts because this is where we are at now, and to understand what we are fighting for, it is our own survival, the old way of living, kind of.
Yeah. There's a lot we need to let go of. It's a radical transformation in our personal development that has to take place to be
Radical.
able to go from just having glimpses of being awakened to actually be awakened.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I just have to thank you so much, Jan Erik. It has been a pleasure to understanding more about this Martinus cosmology. So this was the first glimpse for me and a lot of others. So maybe we will hear more from this.
That would be a pleasure.
Thank
you so much for the invitation and being here.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Divine Design podcast with Ann-Peggy Divine. Join us next Sunday for another heaven on earth unfolding conversation. With grace, reverence, and unity, may the path of your divine design light the way. From the divine in us to the divine in you.